Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. Last month, we lost an actor who was charming, handsome, especially in his younger days, whose films were often a slow simmer. But even a slow simmering pot eventually boils, and often, so too did his characters. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, a salute to an Englishman who was no Limey. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
I learned of the actor Terence Stamp's passing away whilst I was in London. I wish to memorialize his fine acting career with a metaphor to the Vesper Martini, which will become clear when I discuss one of his finest films. The drink actually was created by Ian Fleming at Duke's Bar in London and featured in his James Bond novels. The ingredients include gin, vodka, and a touch of special vermouth. It's served with a lemon twist, and the glasses are frozen to ensure the drink is extremely cold. The martini is prepared tableside on a trolley by a mixologist, in my instance a white coat resembling a chemist, which is British for pharmacist, and is known for being a very large and strong drink. Guests at Duke's are limited to a maximum of 2 Vesper Martinis per visit due to the drink's potency. Your host could only handle 3 sips of the potent elixir. I recall Terence as a young actor making his first American film playing Billy Budd and earning an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor at age 25. He didn't win.
Captain Beer speaks the truth. It's just as Captain Beer says. But it is not as the Master at Arms said. I've eaten the king's bread and I'm true to the king.
I believe you, boy.
God knows I... Thank you, sir.
Was there malice between you and the Master at Arms?
I bore no malice against the Master at Arms. I'm sorry that he is dead. I did not mean to kill him.
He and his Cockney-speaking friend Michael Caine were roommates and friends starting out their respective careers. It's rumored Caine advised Terence to accept the role of Alfie.
Hello? They never make these cars big enough, do they? Well, you all settled in? Right, we can begin. My name is...
Alfie!
Alfie, by the same name in the 1966 film. See my podcast. Lucky for Michael Caine, but speaks volumes about their friendship. And 2 actors with Cockney accents trying to make it on the British stage and screen. I'm implying the accent likely pigeonholed them into roles and made their success all the more remarkable. Terence was a working actor, an actor's actor without pretense. Please read his filmography, as I don't have time to do it justice inside this podcast. The Limey, released in 1999. The title refers to the American slang term limey, which refers to Britons. The Limey, like the Vesper Martini, is an intricate blend of casting, directing, editing, cinematography, and music composition. If you're paying attention, I didn't mention writing, although I tip my hat to the screenwriter, Lem Dobbs, for giving life to this film and the opportunity for an extraordinary assemblage of ingredients to meld together like the famous martini. Spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you about the movie because The Limey for me is less about story and all about filmmaking, which I'll get to shortly.
My name's Wilson.
Wilson?
You wrote me about my daughter?
Terence plays a father who did a stretch inside a British prison for theft of ticket receipts for a music concert and heads off to America to find out what happened to his daughter Jenny, who was killed by a sleazy record producer played aptly by Peter Fonda and named Terry Valentine, who confesses to killing Jenny.
Tell me about Jenny. Tell me about Jenny. Tell me about Jenny.
I needed money. I would have given her anything she wanted, but she didn't. She found out about my deal. She tried to stop me. She said she was going to turn me in. She said she was going to call the cops. I couldn't stop it. It had already happened. It was over. She was going to call the cops.
After tracking down Terry at a magnificent Big Sur seashore home, Wilson, that's Terence Stamp's character, spares Terry's life because Jenny, out of love and desire to keep her father out of prison, threatened to call the authorities about his criminal behavior. Wilson learns from Terry that Jenny also threatened to turn him into the authorities to save him from jail, resulting from his shady dealings. Wilson came to grips with the fact his daughter loved despicable Terry and spares his life. Lem Dobbs created a damn good full circular story inside the film. Stamp and Fonda are mature icons of the 60s, but represent different sides of the 60s counterculture, meaning their characters, Valentine and Wilson, made their money from rock music. Terry Valentine by producing music and selling tickets. Wilson by stealing the receipts from a concert by a big-name rock band of the 60s, landing him in jail. The Limey is an exquisite blend of all the essential ingredients to making a tight, engaging film, which I enjoyed and still come back to. Why? Casting. Bringing on board aged actors whose experiences and faces show a life lived, and like vintage wines gathering dust inside a former London bomb shelter turned wine shelter underneath my London hotel, when corked, deliver their lines so sweet they resemble a pour of an exquisite wine. The film wouldn't work but for the casting. Terence plays the grieving father Wilson effortlessly.
She was always threatening me. Can you imagine? If you're naughty, Dad, I'll put the law on you. Promise. She didn't want me to get sent down again, see? And if she got wind that I was planning something, I'll shop you, Dad. I promise I'll shop you. Look, Dad, I'm calling the old bill right now.
Peter Fonda was 30 years off of Easy Rider, but instinctively knew the 60s vibes of a record producer named Terry Valentine, who made a fortune in the 60s and 70s, but whose music career waned and no longer keeping him living in luxury. So he took to money laundering to remain living like a rock star record producer in the 90s. Fonda eerily resembles his father throughout the film and provides the most eloquent description of the two 60s I often referred to in my podcast.
Must have been a time, huh? A golden moment.
Have you ever dreamed about a place you never really recalled being to before? A place that maybe only exists in your imagination? Someplace far away, half remembered when you wake up. When you were there, though, you knew the language. You knew your way around. That was the 60s. No, it wasn't that either. It was just 66 and early 67. That's all it was.
Barry Newman plays Jim Avery, a suited-up fixer. The actor knocked around Hollywood for decades. See him in the 1971 cult classic car chase film Vanishing Point, and the television lawyer Petrocelli in the 70s series by the same name. To name a few, see his filmography. Luis Guzman plays Eduardo.
Looks like he's brought in the heavy mob.
You're kidding me.
Extra muscle. Bodyguards. They look a right load of wallies, though. Should see them. Patrolling up and down in front of the house.
Let me see.
All done up like outside cavalry.
Full of valets, man.
Valets? What do you mean valets?
Valets, man, valets. They park cars, you know. They're having a party, looks like.
Why?
And steps up playing opposite these legends, acting as Wilson's driver and interpreter, so to speak, about the unfamiliar Los Angeles terrain, as Wilson saw it. Eduardo attended acting classes with Jenny and did time like Wilson, so they form a bond. Nikki Katt plays Stacy, the hitman, and slams the role of a pool-hustling killer hired by Avery with menace and humor.
Why don't they make shows about people's daily lives you'd be interested in watching, you know, like sick old man or skinny little weakling, you know? Big fat guy, wouldn't you watch a show called Big Fat Guy? I'd watch that. Extras, excuse me, background artists, right? Hey mom, hey dad, how's it going? Yeah, Hollywood's great. Yeah, still a loser. Jesus, are you gay enough or what? Hello, Studio City. Look at this guy. Oh yeah, they need that right away.
Leslie Van Warren plays Elaine, who offers Wilson clues about Terry Valentine and brings a female groundedness and observation to the situation, which wasn't over or underplayed. It was just right, and director Soderbergh didn't give into a relationship developing between her and Wilson. It's a pairing like a fine dinner wine followed by a subtle dessert wine, suggesting romantic tension, which wasn't meant to be. Terry Valentine's 20-something girlfriend, played by Amelia Hindley as the character Adhara, a naive young lady enjoying life with a sugar daddy, in my opinion, treating Valentine more like a muse than a love interest. She pulls off the young naivete, and this viewer can relate to Valentine's love and paternal instincts developing with a young lady like Adhara. Melissa George plays Jenny Wilson in home movie and flashback sequences, often deliberately in and out of view, obliterated by the sun at the beach, a strong metaphor for the relationship between daughter and father. It's a minor role, but she pulls it off, and the love for her father is evident in all her scenes. Bill Duke shows up as DEA special agent in charge, investigating Terry Valentine's money laundering.
Let me explain to you. When I was in prison, second time, no, tell a lie, third stretch. Yeah, third. There was this screw what really had it in for me, and that geezer was top of my list. 2 years after I got sprung, I sees him in Olive Park. He's sitting on a bench feeding bloody pigeons. There was no one about. I could have gone up behind him and snapped his neck. Wallop. But I left it. I could have nobbled him, but I didn't. Because what I thought I wanted wasn't what I wanted. What I thought I was thinking about was something else. I didn't give a toss. It didn't matter, see? This Burke on the bench wasn't worth my time. It meant sod all in the end, because you've got to make a choice. When to do something and when to let it go. When it matters and when it don't. Bide your time. That's what prison teaches you, if nothing else. Bide your time and everything becomes clear, and you can act accordingly.
There's one thing I don't understand. The thing I don't understand is every word you're saying.
Duke's agent knows Wilson wants Terry taken out, and like the bricks of heroin burning in barrels outside the airport hangar DEA office, Duke's special agent offers up Valentine's address to Wilson to essentially burn sleazy Valentine like the narcotic trash in the drums. It's a great performance. See Bill in the 1980 American Gigolo and the podcast I've created by the same name. Our Vesper Martini continues to take shape. Directing, Steven Soderbergh uses striking flashbacks, including scenes from a 1967 Terence Stamp movie called Poor Cow. The scenes create a backstory to show Stamp's character as a young man with a criminal past and his relationship with Jenny's mother and daughter, Jenny's disapproving attitudes towards criminal lifestyle. Editing. Soderbergh and film editor Sarah Flack utilize an unorthodox editing technique resembling edits like calculus, which is striking to this viewer. The film features takes and sound from previous or future scenes and juxtaposes them with a current scene. Dialogue from one conversation finds itself throughout the film long after its chronological moment.
I was just going out in the yard. I was in the habit of saving my newspaper till then, you know, stretch me legs, breath of fresh air, a bit of a read, stretch out the good part of the day, as it were. And I couldn't open the newspaper. It was like the pages was glued together. My hands were that weak. I thought I was having a heart attack. Of course, I know I wasn't. Guy I knew come up. "Here, Wilson," he said, "you're as white as a sheet." I said, "Well, I've been in prison half my life, haven't I?" But like, it was dead on because I'd felt all the blood drain out of my head. And I knew something must have happened to Jen. She was magic.
Serving as a flashback layered with future scenes, it creates emphasis and fills out the characters. Background sound effects appear disjointed, are shifted from scene to scene. For example, Wilson is in a hotel room and turns on the shower, and then Wilson is suddenly in an airplane looking out the window, while the shower can be heard. If you're a budding editor, this is a must film to watch. The final scene of Terence covering Donovan's song Colors was great when I saw this in '99, but omnipresent now that Terence has passed.
Yellow is the color of my true love's hair in the morning when we rise. In the morning when we rise, that's the time I love the best.
Casting. See my podcast about casting directors who will, for the first time, be recognized by the Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Sciences at the Oscar ceremonies. Long overdue. The Limey wouldn't have worked without the essential ingredient to the Vesper Martini casting directors bring to a movie mentioned frequently within my podcasts. The music score is by Cliff Martinez, formerly the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He catches salient 60s music such as The Who's The Seeker, a veiled reference to Wilson. Location management. Do you think a fabulous infinity pool overlooking a canyon inside the Hollywood Hills and a glorious oceanfront home in Big Sur happened by accident? Well done, location managers. I wonder if the two homes were owned by the same person. Just saying. One criticism. If you're going to shoot within the industrial neighborhood south of downtown Los Angeles, which I know very well, don't shoot on a Sunday to avoid cars, trucks, and people. You defeat the purpose. The emptiness of the normally bustling industrial area is an unnecessary distraction for those of us with keen eyes. Repo Man, the movie, made the same mistake. Watch the film at no cost on YouTube and get a master class in filmmaking. Pay attention to the credits carefully because Soderbergh has been known to assume aliases when taking on behind the camera additional responsibilities. I can't offer you any clues. Limey was released to critical success, but box office failure. What were people thinking in 1999? Answer. Major films of 1999 included blockbusters like Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and The Sixth Sense, The Matrix, Fight Club, American Beauty, The Green Mile, being John Malkovich, The Blair Witch Project, Toy Story 2, American Pie, and Office Space. I contend the Limey was lost within these big-budget films, but has a cult following amongst those who appreciate the elixir of this production, resembling a Vesper Martini. It was made for a reported $10 million, which equates to about $19 million today. I remember 1999, and $10 million would be a low-budget film, regardless of the inflation number quoted. It's only 89 minutes long, which packs a punch with no precious second of film stock squandered. It's worth a watch with a Vesper Martini in hand, but remember the 2-drink maximum. Rest in peace, Terence Stamp, and thank you for the eternal memories. Until I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint, and class is dismissed.
One thing I'll throw in is that Soderbergh is one of those polarizing directors. Like Wes Anderson, Soderbergh's films have an inimitable style and pacing all his own. And like Wes Anderson, you probably love his films or you hate them, rarely in between. Personally, I love them both. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at the Jonathan B. Farini Story Collection at jonathanfarini.com. Also, look for Jonathan's short story, The Final Watch, in which 2 Border Patrol agents standing watch on a lonely late-night road encounter some events beyond explanation. The Final Watch, published in the Spadina Literary Review, go to jonathanfarini.com or drop an email to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.
Freedom is a word I rarely use without thinking. Without thinking. Of the time when I was loved.
That was very good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Getting better, aren't I?